Welcome back to Effective Educator. Today's lesson is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be demonstrating how I do a monthly kind of planning session. And in the midst of that, I'm going to be also showing you exactly what my annual, semesterly, and monthly goals look like inside of Logseq, which is the primary note-taking tool that I use for everything. So we're just going to be taking a look at that together, and I'll be going through the planning process and thinking process for that. You'll be able to see how all of this works. So let's get started. Okay, so this is Logseq, and as you're looking here at Logseq, you can see it has the calendar day. Starts out, those of you who have done my introduction to Logseq video, you've seen that already. This is nothing particularly new. The part that we're going to be looking at today is over here, and specifically we're looking at the 2022-2023 annual plan. This is the document that I use for planning this. Most of the things I put into Logseq end up in my journal, but some things that are relatively permanent, end up instead in separate pages so that I can find them more easily. This is one of the main ones here. This is my school year 2022-2023 annual plan. I'll make a new one every year. I have at the top my hotspots, which you may recall from the lesson there, all of them broken out here and what the different outcomes are. I have then here my breakdown for work and personal. This is actually a reminder to add to my journal the recurring activities, active projects, and backlogs that I need to track for each one of those things. I have here my annual plan, so let's just review the goals that I have here. Publish a high quality video every week to Effective Educator with my notes on why I'm doing this and how I know it's done. Know enough about flipped classroom to explain why I do or do not use it in my classes, and then have a 5-minute conversation with my wife's family in Korean. So those are the goals there. For the fall semester then, I have my goals here, which I would also review in a full setup here. And I've actually gotten the first meeting here under GEC, so we'll come to that here in a second. Then we're going to come to my August goals, and I've got to look through these and see what I finished and what I did not. Now, create and complete a sprint for split classroom. I did do that. That was successful. I've learned a lot from that. I've made some adaptations and changes to the way I run the classroom from my initial plan, and all of that has been adapted in. That's part of that sprint, and that's what I've completed there. Not only did I do it in CSA, I also did it in CSP and web design. For this, practice Korean for 30 minutes twice a week. I did not do this, but I did manage to have a rather long conversation in Korean with a group of my wife's friends. So while I am not going to mark this as done, I did make progress towards this goal. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to remove later from this tag. The reason is because I don't want a bunch of things I'm not working on now to show up when I search for later things, right? So for things that are tagged to do later. And I'm not working on that goal. I missed this goal. I want to track that I missed it, but I also don't want it to show up as I look at my goals going forward. Finally, I have complete front-end development for the points tracker app. I did do that. I was able to succeed at that, so I completed 2 of my 3 goals. Not that bad. For my musts, I was actually able to get all of these done here. So I would go ahead and write done. And this is what crosses the text out here. Done, and then done for this as well. I did not put my shoulds here. I actually have moved over to using this projects tracker that you can see over here on the side. And I'll go ahead and close that because I won't need that for what we're doing today. So now it's September. I need to set out my goals for this month. And if I have any musts that don't become goals, I need to set those out. I've already done some of the pre-planning for this, so I already know what my 3 goals are going to be. And I can go ahead and lay those out now. My first goal, I'm going to mark with later, and it is complete Points Tracker app. Now my Points Tracker app has its own separate page. Not all of my projects have that, but this one does because there's a lot of development notes that I'm having to do that. And I'm going to use scheduled here to mark that this will be due on the 30th of September. All of this exists on this page so that I can see where I am and I can double check what progress I am making. So I've scheduled that here. You can see that it's popped up scheduled, that's there. And go to the next step. My next goal that I have for this month is a strong start to my CSS class. I'm taking a class from the College of St. Scholastica on CSA. It's actually going to go through one of the classes that I'm teaching, or one of the AP classes that I'm teaching, and I want to make sure I get a strong start to that. It starts on the 6th of September, so a strong start would look like a solid first week, so I will know on the 10th of September if I have succeeded at that goal. This goal doesn't run the whole month, but it is important that I get a good start, and it's important enough that it is one of the three things. If I can succeed at that, even though it's early in the month, I can declare this month a victory. The final thing here, completes points tracker app. I got to think about what I want my 3 to be. I'm going to look back up here at my semesterly and annual goals. I'm looking at these goals here. Practice Korean 3 hours a week is probably going to need to be revised. I don't know that I'm ready to come back and revise that yet. I think what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to complete a video editing tutorial in Adobe, and I'm going to make this a page here so that I can find all of my notes that I make about this in Adobe Premiere. I already have, there we have. Yeah, so that I can get better at editing this. I don't need to add anything else. I was trying to decide if I needed to add that, but I'll know what that looks like when it's done. I don't care when in the month I do that. I just need to do it sometime this month, so I'm going to flag that this way. So this takes me through my whole planning process for that. Musts that I have besides this, I must review, I'm going to make this a later here, review all project proposals for senior capstone, which I want to flag as that because that's something I must do this month, because that's due at the end of the month. The kids have to have their projects approved, so I need to clear that beforehand. Other musts that I must do this month, I must complete paperwork for licensure renewal. That's due by the end of this month. I need to complete that, so I've got to get a test. I've got to get a couple of different things done. I need to do all of that by then. Other musts that I have, I believe that's all I have right now. I may come up with some more. I have a lot of projects that I'm running right now that are shoulds, but shoulds are going in a different place right now. Musts are just the things that if I don't finish them the month, they die. If I don't finish them this month, they die, right? It's not important anymore whether I finish it. So those are the musts that I have. This is a really simple system, and this is kind of a quick introduction to how I track this. By setting it up this way, what will happen is I will now see on my journal page, as I approach those deadlines, reminders that those are my deadlines. And when I do my weekly reviews, which we're going to talk about in the next video, I will see the goals. I'll actually come here, I'll look at these goals, and I'll say to myself, oh, that's right. I said I was going to work on finish the points tracker app this month. What do I need to do this week to move that forward? And that's going to be the process that I'll go through. So this here exists mostly to allow me to find what I'm looking for, find what I'm talking about. All of this is happening in Logseq, which I'm going to have a series of videos. This will be the third video where I'm demonstrating Logseq, but I use Logseq for pretty much all of my planning purposes. And the reason for this is because of how deeply it allows me to interlink everything. And you'll see some of the benefits of that, especially as we look at the weekly review and I talk about how I plan my week. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week.